your thoughts on this? There is a huge amount of concern. Parents are worried that at a time like this, how do I allow my child to step out? We heard a public health expert saying this is just not the right time. To hell with GRAP, we don't know how that operates. But the fact of the matter is this air is poisonous. And you have a situation where you heard the minister saying, let's get back to offices, let's get back to schools.
I feel that let us have a little bit of clear norms instead of some politician or some government officer deciding. Can we not have clear-cut norms that if the air pollution is above a certain level, then these curbs would kick in. And once only the air is clear, we would lift these curbs. Otherwise, you take decisions based on so many non-meritorious considerations, at times political compulsions, at times other considerations, which would put our children to unnecessary peril. And I feel that is what is kind of, avoidable. I think a clear path so that the parents of the children are aware that, now the air is clear and therefore my child is safe to go. And there are world standards on this. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to follow these more clearly instead of kind of, putting the curb now, lifting it maybe after a week. And second, my observation is that this is happening year after year. Why can't we curb the main cause of this? After all, we can't be facing this every year. I can imagine, as the other speaker said, that we are not in Delhi, but think of people who would be in Delhi. And if you face it every year and then suddenly you take decisions of putting curbs and you kind of remove the curbs without a clear-cut communication to the parents and to the citizens, I think that is very, very inappropriate and puts people to a lot of uncertainty, ambiguity and anger.
No rollback on the work from home. All government officers have to be back. That again means more vehicles on the road and the schools are being opened. So at multiple levels, it seems as if, with a little dip in the air quality, the government has decided that we are back to business. Nayan Parikh, is that something you feel is healthy at this point of time in terms of the tough balancing act that the two other speakers also pointed out? Where do you stand?
I think it is a balancing act where if we give the government its due, the counterpoint to what we are thinking is that if there is a window open and they are, I think, obviously seeing it, though we don't have that data available with us, because they are not only allowing children, they are allowing vehicles, they are seeing something which is obviously not in public domain with all of us. But I feel it would be very, very naive for any government to do all these three unless they see some kind of a promising trend, which means that winter is just beginning. Now, if we have curve now, so would it continue for coming 2-3 months? We would need to see that this is some kind of a heavy antibiotic that we are taking by keeping everyone at home. Can that be sustainable for coming 3 months? It cannot be. And with winter, getting more cold, would we have more issues? And therefore, do we need to take a balanced view that if it is possible, if there is some window open, how do we encourage some bit of normalcy to happen? Which means that can we have the masks on? Would N95 help? If we can't keep everything at home and if we need to do some economic activity, if we want to have education as a continued children's pursuit, then how should we do it? I think let us look at some kind of possibilities. Do we have air purifier at the school? Do we keep the masks compulsory? How can we minimize the damage? How can we not hamper the children's education and still save them from the ultimate poison that they would inhale? I think that is the challenge, and that is where
it is being inhaled by
Afrida, I agree with you completely that this is government failure, and I think it is happening every year. अभी monsoon तो अभी winter शुरू नहीं हुआ और ये हो गया है. So I think we need to first understand that government must make this a priority. And how would it happen? As you rightly said, channels will have to make it a issue. Citizen movement has to make it an issue. In election, this has to be an issue. If it is not an issue in election, perhaps political parties would not look at it. And second, I am saying that even if the curbs are lifted, I would suggest parents to take their own call. If they don't feel safe, they must not send the children, because no matter, I mean, not having curb doesn't mean it is compulsory. I think if you miss out a day or two, it is just fine. And therefore, I feel that health is priority also for the parents. And they must not go by lifting of curb that they have to automatically send the children. So I think after what government says, let the parents also decide whether it is appropriate for them to do it or not. It's like any industry or business or anybody moving outside in this post-corona situation. I mean, you do it at your own risk, and therefore you would wear the mask and go, or just not go, just because it is allowed.
So, but